Right, Shalom, Shalom. First, I'd like to give all praises unto Yahweh, Hashem Yahweh Shai, Waharakah Kodash, and double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Honors to you brothers out there in the highways and the byways, teaching this word in all sincerity and in truth. Let me just finish this setup. Yeah, I was meditating on the next algorithm, actually, that we gonna do. And while I was meditating, I was thinking about this executive order that Trump passed, declaring the Mexican cartels to be a foreign terrorist group. And then, it just had me thinking about what that would mean. And then I'm seeing how he rescinded certain executive orders that Biden passed. All right. And then you have to ask yourself, well, if you could do that, which most of them were basically meaningless, you have to understand that a lot of the BS that the Democrats were doing in terms of all the gender woke stuff is not really necessary for the New World Order. It was necessary in order to create a conflict, a chaos that Trump could come in and appear to be restoring some kind of order. Like the elites don't care about 50,000 different genders. That was obviously stupid and ridiculous, but it was necessary so that he could come in now and undo all that shit, and he looks like the reasonable one. That's just distraction and foolishness. Them people didn't really believe all that shit. That was done on purpose. That's subtlety. But you got to ask yourself that if he could undo all of that, then why hasn't he undone other things that the right wingers, the alt-right, have been complaining about for years? So we're going to get into it. We're going to speak about the Patriot Act and the NDAA 2012 and how that links into them now designating the Mexican cartels as a terrorist group and what that could mean for the tribes in America. So let me share my screen. Everything this man does is calculated. Some of it is distraction and some of it is towards an end. And you got to be able to decipher. A lot of times they got people caught up on BS, like this whole gender thing. It's BS. This doesn't mean anything. It's just something for people to argue about. Meanwhile, they close in the trap door. All right, here we go. So let's get this scripture real quick, because there's going to come a time when a lot of our people are going to be getting slaughtered by government forces. Right? Not just government forces. You're going to have freelance Edomites out there killing Jake too. But the mechanism of the government, the military, is going to be turned against the people. And it's going to be justified through terrorism. And terrorism has always been this thing where, what the hell is it? It's purposefully a very vague term that ultimately can be applied to anyone. So let's get Ezekiel 21 and 8. It says, again, the word of the Lord came unto me, saying, Son of man, prophesy and say, thus saith the Lord, say a sword is sharpened and also furbished. It is sharpened to make a sore slaughter. It is furbished that it may glitter. Should we then make mirth? It contemneth the rod of my son as every tree, and he have given it to be furbished, that it may be handled. This sword is sharpened, and it is furbished to give it into the hand of the slayer. And that slayer is going to be the security forces for Esau Edom. And there's going to be a time that they're going to be unleashed on the people. And it's going to be justified according to them, because guess what? You're nothing but a bunch of criminals, rapists, murderers, thieves, unruly, gangsters who are not suitable for civilization. And Jake don't know that that's how they are being portrayed, and that they're being set up for that end. That's what World Star Hip Hop is for, to showcase every time Jake act the fool. This is why they've allowed certain cities in America to become wild as hell with crazy amounts of gun and gang violence. And what makes those gangs different to the cartel? Ask yourself that question. They terrorize the cities they live in on a daily basis, from weekend to weekend. Ridiculous amounts of shooting and killing. So they're going to use that to come against Jake, man. So let's have a look at this, man. So, see the elder put, Proverbs 4:19, but the way of the wicked is like deep darkness. They do not know what makes them stumble. Yeah, exactly that. Psalm 64:6, they plot injustice and say, we have devised a perfect plan. Surely the human mind and heart are cunning. And that's going into these elites, right? Because they're the ones that really set up these executive orders and these legislative frameworks. And these politicians are just, they're basically just the mouthpiece, the salesman. They don't come up with this stuff. Trump don't come up with executive orders or policies. He's given policies and executive orders to pass. He's the consecrated one. So we have a quick look at some of these things that he's passed, right? So, ending birthright citizenship. So, if you're an illegal immigrant and you have a child in the US, it used to be that the child would be nationalized. Well, now they're going to end that. All right. So that's going to make it more difficult, cause more chaos in terms of these children, like how you deal with them. He's leaving the World Health Organization, which means nothing, because the same policies that the World Health Organization pushes, they can push independently, which they have done before. Trump left the WHO already. So this is just a token gesture to make his supporters feel like he's doing something, but he's really not doing anything. Remain in the Gulf of Mexico. Again, just another something that means absolutely nothing. Revoking the electric vehicle targets. All right. Again, they're going to put pressure on people to move towards electric vehicles. There's various ways that they're doing that anyway. So that doesn't really mean anything either. This is a good one. Reclassifying federal employees, making them easier to fire. Trump executive order reclassified thousands of federal employees as political hires, making it much easier for them to be fired. And this goes into the whole Doge. What they're going to be doing is streamlining the government, bringing in more central planning and AI governance. All right. They're going to put more AI in control, because a lot of the work in the government is paper pushing, is admin, which can be done by AI anyway. Okay, so they're pushing that MOTB system. Declaring a national energy emergency. All right, Trump declared a national energy emergency as part of a barrage of pro-fossil fuel actions and efforts to unleash already booming U.S. energy production, that including also rolling back restrictions in drilling in Alaska and undoing a pause on gas exports. All right. We'll see where that goes. Again, this creating a policy recognizing only two genders, that's what's the point? Let's move on from that. That's just distraction. Pausing the TikTok ban again. And then this is the point what I saw: rescinding 78 Biden era executive action. So this shows that the president has the power to rescind executive actions. They can change things that have been put in place. And then obviously you got the declaring a national border emergency as well, which is all going to play into it. So if he has that power, let's go back to this. I'm doing a video. It's chicken.
You know, I spoke right before Ron Paul just a few weeks ago, right outside Austin. He talked about how his poll numbers just go up and up and up, and the support just gets greater and greater and greater as he resists all of this, and as he says no to this, and as he throws the lobbyist out of his office. The truth is, when the whole world's sold out, you guys are going to get more power out of not going with the system. This thing is in terminal velocity. This thing is falling down around itself. The corruption, the comprehensive annual financial reports, the scams. Now, got about 9 minutes left. I'm going to try to go through these points because they're all very, very important. Section 213 of the first Patriot Act lets them break in your house or any business and take whatever they want or plant whatever they want and not tell you for 6 months they were there, and they're administrative. They're rubber stamps. They aren't for Billy Bob's house because we think he has this under the Fourth Amendment. They're for everybody. They're for whole classes of people. And now under the new Patriot Act, they have sections where they say our officers need not even need these administrative subpoenas or warrants. They can just carte blanche go anywhere they want for any crime or suspected crime. And the spokesman for the Justice Department just a few months ago, after Ashcroft admitted, okay, there is a Patriot Act too, went before the House and Senate, and this was in the news, in the Associated Press, and said, well, yeah, we're going to use this in all crimes, all drug crimes, everything, misdemeanors, third-degree felonies, everything. That's on the record. U.S. attorneys, deputy attorneys, assistant attorneys, all these people, they're saying, yeah, we're going to use this for everything. They are using it for everything. The Victory Act, which is a continual salvo in this attack on the American people, clearly states that any possession of a controlled substance is an act of terrorism under Section 802.
So, all right. So, and the reason I've got Alex Jones breaking this down is because Alex is no longer speaking about this. Because Trump isn't going to undo any of this. So they can basically, when they, after 9/11, and they brought in the Patriot Act, the Patriot Act basically gives the U.S. government the ability to just do anything they want to anyone at any time for any reason. And as it just says there, they can declare, they can say that any gang involved in drugs is a terror group. Let's hear that again.
Which is a continual salvo in this attack on the American people, clearly states that any possession of a controlled substance is an act of terrorism under Section 802, pointing back to that enacting clause. Well, it endangers human life. It's a weapon of mass destruction. They've actually got articles in the news about, oh yeah, they're charging people with weapons of mass destruction because they had marijuana. We don't want to be part of this. This is crazy. People disappearing in the middle of the night. I mean, what did Alexander Solzhenitsyn say in Gulag Archipelago? Oh, how we burned in the camps. Later, wishing that when the secret police went out at night to come to our doors, we would have met them downstairs with pokers and axes and daggers. America is a great country full of great people. And it.
All right. So they were, I remember this specifically. They were the alt-right, and, you know, Ron Paul, people like that were appalled by the Patriot Act. All right. And after the 2012 NDAA. All right. Let's listen to Ron Paul, the original shill, till they got Trump.
Entities that are taking away our Fourth Amendment rights and taking away our privacy. The foreigners aren't making us pass the Patriot Act. We're doing it to ourselves. So I would say that when the Republic returns, when you know we're making progress, we will repeal the Patriot Act.
So did you hear that? So Ron Paul, as a Republican, he was pushing end the Fed, which Trump is not. That was a big thing. They need to end the Fed. Now you don't hear Alex Jones or none of these guys talking about that. And they were pushing that, yeah, if they get power, the alt-right, if these right-wingers get into power, they're gonna undo the Patriot Act, undo the NDAA, and all this stuff. All right. And these are all these same people today that are supporting Trump, but they're not talking about the Patriot Act or the NDAA because they're too busy talking about the two genders and all that foolishness that they put up for them to be arguing about. But they forget about all this, which is going to be used against them.
And guess what that would do? That would remove the authority for the TSA to poke and prod us at the airports. But the president has announced a year ago and announced again this week, but that he has the authority to assassinate American citizens.
Right. So this happened famously with Anwar al-Awlaki. Right, they assassinated. I think his name was Anwar al-Awlaki. All right, and he was an American citizen. Now that's unconstitutional. They're supposed to arrest him. They're supposed to attempt to arrest him. You don't assassinate an American citizen, but they assassinated him under the NDAA, and everybody went along with it because, well, you know, he's Islamic, he's terrorist. But what they did was set a precedent. Now, imagine that now they're now placing that on the cartels. Well, who's a cartel member? You tell me. And see, this is where this thing's going to escalate more and more, where eventually these powers that they have are going to be turned against the everyday people. And they will class anyone they want as a terrorist and do whatever they want, whether it's indefinite detention or summary execution, because they have this power which is already on the books. And Trump ain't making an executive order to repeal all these laws for a reason, because they're going to be used. How come Alex Jones and them guys and Ron Paul are not putting pressure on Trump to do that? Because he's in power, right? The second time you see him doing all these executive orders, you see him repealing executive orders. Why can't he repeal the Patriot Act? Why can't he repeal the NDAA 2012?
There are reports the radical US-born cleric Anwar al-Awlaki has been killed in an airstrike in Yemen. Al-Awlaki is widely regarded as a mastermind of al-Qaeda's operations in the Arabian Peninsula. He was linked to a number of terror plots, including the failed Times Square car bomb attempt in New York in May last year. President Obama then gave the US military and the CIA authorization to kill him.
Okay. So that's what Ron Paul's talking about. They already have the power to basically indefinitely imprison and to commit summary executions on the people based upon the Patriot Act and the NDAA and how vague it is as to who is a terrorist and who isn't. Maybe you're a gang member. Okay, you're a terrorist. You deal with drugs. Boom. They don't have to provide no proof. If you go into the legislations, they don't have to provide no proof. They could just disappear you and that's it.
You have to think about this. Where does he get the authority? And he was asked about this. He said, well, it's part of the Constitution. Now, his understanding, his explanation about the Constitution is that anything that is not prohibited, he's allowed to do. But, you know, he has it sort of upside down. He is only allowed to do the things that he is explicitly authorized.
All right, so that's that. What did I have? Right, so that brings us up to date to this current information. And so in this atmosphere, him designating the Mexican cartels as a foreign terrorist group, these alt-right people who don't like Jake, don't like Mexicans anyway, are going to be celebrating this fact. But this all is just going to lead back into being able to classify American citizens as terrorists and do what you want with them. All right, this is where it's heading.
Has migrants deeply concerned on what is to come. Major cities like Chicago are anticipating massive immigration raids that could begin.
Chicago, again, we also know that Chicago has a big problem with gangs, right? And gang violence.
And at any moment, elected leaders say they will do anything they can to protect the many immigrant communities.
Ripping those families apart, not acceptable to Americans. And we're going to stand up for them in the state of Illinois.
We want folks to know that they can still send their children to school.
Organizations like Illinois Coalition for Immigrant and Refugee Rights telling anyone who is scared, don't answer the door if ICE agents come knocking, and memorize loved ones' phone numbers in case your phones are seized. Meantime, a long-anticipated threat in the fight against drug cartels has become a reality. President Trump officially designating them as foreign terrorist organizations. This decision previously facing opposition from Mexican leaders. News Nation's Jorge Ventura joining us with more on this from Texas. Jorge, good morning to you. What does this new designation mean for the fight against these dangerous cartels?
Well, Marty, good morning. Now, with this designation, Mexican cartels now will be joining a list of foreign terrorist organizations like Al-Qaeda and ISIS. It is a move that can actually make it politically easier for President Trump to send U.S. troops to Mexico without the approval of Congress. Now, this designation
it also makes it easier for them to designate Jake in America as terrorists. Because it's a drug gang, right? Now if you're a drug gang or you're organized crime, you're a terrorist group, which they already had that power to do according to the Patriot Act and the NDAA. All right, so this is what's eventually coming down the pipeline.
The nation will target criminal organizations like the Sinaloa in the Jalisco New Generations cartels, which are involved in human trafficking, violent.
And how do you know who's part of the cartel, who ain't part of the cartel? And what if you got an American gang that's associated or operating with the cartel? Are they also now do you see how it dovetails?
Crimes, but also fueling the fentanyl crisis here in the United States. Now, under U.S. law, this designation does allow the U.S. government to freeze cartel money, ban travel, and punish anyone helping these criminal groups. Officials say that Mexican cartel.
Anyone helping these criminal groups is very vague.
Operations across the border threaten U.S. safety and security. Now, Mexican leaders, including former President López Obrador and President Sheinbaum, are opposing the move, fearing that it could justify U.S. military action on U.S. soil. And when asked whether U.S. forces could be sent to Mexico when he was signing those executive orders, Marnie, Trump did say that it could happen. Right now, we'll just have to wait and see, Marnie.
So this can allow them to even use the military within America to tackle the cartels, aka gangs. So look at this.
Say one thing about Donald Trump, he sure has people talking. Trump is enraging many people with his remarks about Mexican immigrants.
They're bringing drugs, they're bringing crime, they're rapists.
Drugs, crime, you can apply that to any Jake.
And some, I assume, are good people.
How can you succeed when you say things like that?
Well, you can't, again, Gail, if the question is...
And the thing is, there is a crisis, there is a problem with these gangs and with these cartels, which Esau is the one that has pushed that problem. They fund these people, they allow them to operate. These people are all linked in with the CIA in some way, shape, or form. But the point is now they can use, same way they can use these terrorists, these other terrorist organizations, they can now use these gangs and these cartels as an excuse to come down with draconian measures on the people. Okay. In fact, I found an article here that said Trump was the first to use the Patriot Act to detain a man forever. And that was in 2019. So where was Alex Jones and all that? Why are they not against this? Because as we can see, he was dead set against the NDAA, all right, and dead set against the the NDAA 2012, because there's more than one NDAA. The NDAA 2012, when it was Obama, Obama was the devil, right? All right, what's this one?
The National Defense Authorization Act empowers the U.S. military to operate on American soil. They can arrest American citizens and cart them off to detention centers anywhere in the world, basically turning the entire homeland into a battlefield and allowing the military to arrest individuals and detain them indefinitely.
So don't be surprised if now they started off down south in these red states down south. They start basically a war on drugs down there in the south, and that escalates to, yeah, well, if we're doing it down there with the cartels, then why can't we do it with the Bloods? Why can't we do it with the Crips? Why can't we do it with these Chicago gangs, these Baltimore gangs? Because they're doing the exact same things the cartels doing. They're running drugs, killing people, murdering, shooting. And then so what you end up happening is criminality literally just being designated as terrorism, and they deal with it under martial law. And so they can use this situation down at the border and the neighboring or the states on the border to bring this in. Basically, that's what I'm trying to show you, because they already have the legislation on the books, and it's never been taken off the books. Trump, when he was in his first tenure, didn't attempt to remove these things off the books, and he ain't trying to remove them off the books now, because he's going to use them. These things were brought in for a future president to use them against the people. Okay?
Without trial. World. Basically, they can arrest American citizens and cart them off to detention centers anywhere in the world. Basically turning...
And not just arrest them and cart them off to detention sectors. They can do summary executions. They can assassinate. They can kill. Now, if this is happening to cartel people, the people are going to start celebrating. Then they start doing it to the black gangs. People start celebrating. Then they start doing it to this person. That's how it works.
The entire homeland into a battlefield and allowing the military to arrest individuals and detain them indefinitely without trial. Now, this violates every aspect of a free society by denying Americans their constitutionally protected right to due process.
Exactly. So the whole idea of terrorism and terrorists is a way of subverting constitutional rights. All right, and Trump has started that off with his executive order. So this is Jeremiah 30, and yeah, they're gonna come down on the tribes, man. Jeremiah 30 and 6. Let's start from verse 4. It says, "These are the words that the Lord spake concerning Israel and concerning Judah." Because it sounds right now, if you look at it, the cartels, so that you could say, they're focusing on the northern tribes. Well, no, because like I've already just said, they can, any drug gang or anything, they can now say, that's a terrorist organization. All right, and who gets painted with this whole gang thing the most? Jake. So Israel and concerning Judah, for thus saith the Lord, we have heard a voice of trembling, of fear, and not of peace. Ask ye now and see whether a man doth travail with child. Wherefore do I see every man with his hands on his loins, as a woman in travail, and all faces are turned into paleness. Yeah, that's why under the Democrats they were doing all this defund the police and all. It's all problem reaction solution, because they already knew, okay, we're gonna make this situation and this problem get out of hand, so that later on down the line we're just going to use the military against these gangs because we defunded the police. All right. Alas, for that day is great, so that none is like it. It is even the time of Jacob's trouble, but he shall be saved out of it. And that's the he that's going to be saved out of it is the elect. All right. But there's a reason the Department of Homeland Security bought all them hollow point bullets. Let's see if I can find that. They still got them bullets. There we go. Right, 1.6 billion rounds of ammo for the Homeland Security. All right, and it was hollow point bullets, which you're not allowed to use hollow point bullets in war. So they're going to use this on the people, on these terrorist organizations. 1.6 billion rounds of ammo, and that was back in 2021. So they've been sharpening that sword and preparing to come up against the people. All them people in their music videos throwing up gang signs. Yeah. Right, let's read it again. Ezekiel 21:11. And he have given it to be furbished, that it may be handled. This sword is sharpened, and it is furbished to give it into the hand of the slayer. So that's what's coming down the pipeline, man. All right. When you put 2 and 2 together. Revelations 12:12. Therefore rejoice, ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea, for the devil is come down unto you, having great wrath, because he knoweth he hath but a short time. So they're going to build up these crises, and then they're going to come in with these solutions, man, and it ain't going to be nice. It ain't going to be nice. See that the Democrats have been purposefully being soft, so that now the other arm can come in and be hard, be harsh. All right. Let's get some of these scriptures off the comment board, and I'm gonna skedaddle. Where we go? Where we at? Right. 2 Ezra 16:71. They shall be like madmen, sparing none, but still spoiling and destroying those that fear the Lord. Yeah, that time is coming. They gonna come hardcore, beginning with these the northern tribes and there's people are gonna be applauding it. Yes, because they're raping and murdering people, and they're gonna go in there and just indiscriminately start taking people out, and they just say, "Oh yeah, they were in the cartel." They were in the cartel. All right. Isaiah 19:4. And the Egyptians will I give over into the hand of a cruel lord, and a fierce king shall rule over them, saith the Lord of hosts. Yeah, a hardliner. He gonna start dealing with these gangs and stuff in a mad way. Revelations 13:7. And it was given unto him to make war with the saints and to overcome them, and power was given him over all kindreds and tongues and nations. Yep. That's what's coming. What we got? Right, Psalms 140:4. Oh Lord, keep me out of the hands of the wicked. Protect me from those who are violent, for they are plotting against me. Yeah, they're plotting violence. They're plotting extreme violence. And they've already been trying to make it look like it's justified. And there's a whole bunch of the American public that absolutely believe that extreme violence is necessary to deal with certain demographics within society. And that's why they got no problem putting a mobile phone in you Jake's hands, and you Jake all up in the, you can't even go, you going into McDonald's and shooting people over hot sauce and all kind of crazy stuff. And they're using that to say, okay, these people are out of control, right? The police can't even do nothing to you, because if the police do anything, it's a riot. They can't do nothing. They're like the police feel like their hands are tied. They can't do nothing, because if they try to tackle Jake that's doing something crazy, there's gonna be a riot over him. So they're gonna be like, man, to hell with all this woke business. We just gonna go in and do a job. All right, places like Chicago, Baltimore, all that. Revelation 6:4. And they went out another horse that was red, and power was given to him that sat thereon to take peace from the earth, and that they should kill one another. And it was given, where we at? But it's just they're giving unto him a great sword. Yeah, Esau's going to show you that he's the master of violence, man. All right. Oh, good scripture, Psalm 17 and 13. Arise, O Lord, disappoint him, cast him down, deliver my soul from the wicked, which is thy sword. Yeah, and when they come and they start shooting and handing out, they're gonna get everybody, man. They're gonna get the women, they're gonna get the children, because women and children are part of the cartel. Are they not? So it's gonna come down harsh, man. All right. Jeremiah 4 and 31, for I have heard a voice as a as a woman in travail, and the anguish as of her that bringeth forth her first child, the voice of the daughter of Zion that bewaileth herself, that spreadeth her hands, saying, woe is me now, for my soul is wearied because of murderers. Yeah. And these dudes, that's all up in these security services. They can't wait to get, they sit there and they watch these videos online and they see all these gangs and all that stuff. They can't wait to get their hands on these people, man. All right. And they're hella racist too. Even the Jakes in the military are racist. So hey, it is what it is. But anyway, I just wanted to point that out. You know, he's making all these laws, but he ain't getting rid of the NDAA 2012, and he ain't getting rid of the Patriot Act. And now he's designating the cartels as terrorists. It's all part of the same game. All right. So, you know, Lord willing, that was edifying. Sekar halal, Yahweh Hashem Yahushai, Waharakar Kodash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. And honors to you brothers out there on the highways and the byways, teaching this word in all sincerity and in truth. All right. Shalom to you brothers and sisters listening and learning and supporting the ministry. Shalom.